Hey YouTube, what's going on? It's your boy Manny here once again. Welcome back to DFS Zone, your source for daily fantasy sport lineup advice for the NFL, NBA, and MLB. And of course, like always guys, before I proceed with the video, I would appreciate a like on the video. And if it's your first time here, please subscribe down below and do not forget to turn on those notifications. This way you will not miss any of my new uploads. With that being said, today is Saturday, April the 28th, 2018. The NBA two-game playoff slate today. Milwaukee at Boston, and New Orleans is on for game one of the second round against Golden State at Golden State. Two great matchups here today, guys. And after last night's game, I just wanted to really recap yesterday. I was favoring Donovan Mitchell in Utah throughout the series. And Ricky Rubio going down yesterday really is going to hurt Utah if he is definitely not healthy enough to play in the next series. But Donovan Mitchell is, like I said, he's the real deal, man. The kid is incredible. He did his thing. He held it down. He truly showed that he is capable of being the leader of a team with that performance last night, shutting it down on OKC and taking them out of this playoffs. So great job to Donovan Mitchell, man. Keep balling, kid. You're doing a heck of a job, and hopefully Ricky Rubio gets better. It did hurt me with my picks yesterday, my lineups. I had Ricky Rubio in about 50, almost 60% of the lineups that I made, so it definitely hurt me. I did make a little bit of money on one or two lineups, nothing really big, maybe, but nonetheless, yeah, definitely not a great night when Rubio goes down. But I have been enjoying the games, so we'll just keep enjoying these playoff games. They're going to be great. Today is Game 7, so let's get right into it. Milwaukee at Boston. We have Boston at home. They're favorite by 3.5 points, it looks like. They got an implied total of 99.8, while Milwaukee's at 95.3. This is going to be definitely a close game. All of them have been. I don't see anything being any different in this Game 7. So we'll see how it goes, how it pans out. A number of things to think, a couple of things to think about when you're making decisions in today's games. Obviously, we still want to, look at a couple areas that you might, at least for me, I look at a couple areas like I mentioned yesterday. I look at rebounding. I look at how the teams have been playing as of late, especially in the playoff round. Not so much so on what they did during the season, because obviously the playoffs is a whole different animal. But rebounding, Boston is 4th right now so far in the playoffs. They are rebounding 43 rebounds per game. Milwaukee is 10th at 40 rebounds per game. And the top rebounders, Boston, obviously is Al Horford, is averaging close to 9 rebounds a game. And then you got Jaylen Brown at about 5.5, and Mr. Baines at 5.5. So obviously their main rebounder is Mr. Al Horford. A bunch of others all get involved, so the team is, definitely puts in their part as far as rebounding is concerned. Definitely a little bit more of an advantage with the bigger guys in Milwaukee. Giannis is averaging 10 rebounds per game during the course of these playoffs. Mr. Parker is at about 6 a game, and Mr. Middleton at about 6 a game. So I'll say that rebounding advantage is still with Milwaukee, especially if they can get a few more rebounds. Remember, a couple more rebounds, a couple more tips, putbacks will be the difference in this game. Also, when you're thinking about this game as far as how close it would be, so you're looking at the turnover ratio. Both teams are both tied for the second lowest at 13 points per game. So I don't see any different there. But if any one of the teams clean up the turnover ratio by 1 or 2 more or 3 more and get down to like 11 or 10 turnovers a game or better, that's going to be the difference also in the game. Field goal percentage, Boston is at 11% throughout the playoffs, 43% from the floor. Milwaukee is 2nd. They have been shooting at 50% from the floor, so they've done very, very well. Giannis is at 59%, Middleton 59%. Brogdon, even though in limited minutes, has put in 49% shooting, and Jabari Parker at 44%. So they have 4 guys shooting very, very well right now, especially in the last 2 games. And Boston has Horford at 54% and Brown at 48%. So they actually have 2 guys in that 48% or better. Still a little advantage there with Milwaukee being the 2nd best in field goal percentage. If their field goal percentage stays up at 50%, they can get Boston to miss a few shots. That'll be the difference, of course, also that you can look at in this game. 3-point shooting, Boston is 8th in the playoffs at 35%. Milwaukee's at 38%. They're 4th in the playoffs. Middleton is shooting at a 64% 3-point range clip. He has definitely been shooting the ball well from the three-point line. Hartford is at 47%, the best for Boston, with Marcus Morris at 45 and Mr. Jaylen Brown at 40. But in Milwaukee, the only one who's really been shooting the ball well from three-point range has been Middleton. So if they can minimize Middleton getting a couple open looks in that three-point area, you have also a better chance. That's where the advantage would be for Boston. That both teams are scoring about pretty much the same throughout the playoffs because they've been playing against each other. Boston's averaging 100.8 and Milwaukee 102.8. So overall, even though Boston is favored by a couple points today, I still think that Milwaukee has a very good chance if they clean up a few things to actually pull this one out. So looking at the game itself, as far as players are concerned, you got Bledsoe. You got Bledsoe in that game, Milwaukee, and you got Mr. Terry Rozier. I'm going to go right to the cruncher like I've been showing you guys. And at point guard, I'll be totally honest with you. I mean, as you can see here, I got the four guys that I'm looking at. These are the four that I'm looking at. I'm not looking at any other guys to fill in my rosters today. Bledsoe, Rajon Rondo, Terry Rozier, and Ian Clark. As you can see, I don't have Bledsoe or Rozier, but they're both in play. Bledsoe has definitely struggled in this series. 19 in the last game, 37, 25, 29, 31. So he is definitely not my favorite, but he is the kind of player that can just turn it up at any point in time. So if they can get Mr. Bledsoe more involved and take them, bury a couple of shots early, he could definitely get going, and then they'll feed him the ball. This is how it is in at this point of the season. Guys, definitely need to get feel themselves into the game, and as soon as they get in rhythm and they get a couple of shots down, Bledsoe is that kind of player as well. He'll do fine. He's getting sufficient minutes, 32, 34, 31 over the last 3 games. Getting decent shots, 10, 5, 9, and 13, and 13 over this series, and 12. He could definitely take a few more shots, but his percentages have not been good. 8 of 13, 5 of 13, 3 of 9, 5 of 15, 3 of 10. And then he's definitely not shooting the ball well from the three-point range as well. 1 of 4, 2 of 5, 1 of 2. He missed all 3 shots in game 2, and 50%, 2 out of 4 in the first game of the series. So he's really been struggling. So he's not one of my favorite players today, but he's definitely in play because he's capable of actually turning up. He has a very good ceiling. He could put up easily. He could put up 50, 60 in any given day. He's a great GPP player. Remember, guys, when I do my videos, I'm basically aiming for more GPP plays because I'm a GPP guy. Like I said, I do play some cash games, but I just enjoy the whole idea of trying to win the big one. So I am one that I'm never going to BS you. I definitely will give you a GPP play, one that are the ones I'm thinking of, but I will also tell you if the GPP play is a good cash play, or if there's anybody that's a good cash play. Cash play here for sure today, who is a good GPP play and cash play, I would think, is Rajon Rondo. Alright, so if you're thinking of the point guards today, you look at Rondo, all these greens, 55, 42, 35, 43, 37. He's been in the green in all 5 or 6 games. Rondo has actually been kind of lights out. He really did a number on Portland. Really a shock there because I didn't expect that series to be Portland to be swept in 4 games, but I really thought that series was going to be at least a 6-game series. I wasn't sure if Portland was going to pull that one out or New Orleans, but I was really impressed with the way New Orleans play, especially Rajon Rondo. So if he could keep this up, if he could play that well in this Golden State series, the Pelicans will give Golden State every bit of trouble during the course of this series. So we'll find out today. But Rajon Rondo, to me, as you can see here, I have the lock on him. I'm locking him in. I'm basically letting you know that he's one of my favorite plays for today at point guard, and it should be one of yours as well. But they are all the other guys that are on this list here are all favorable plays. Terry Rozier playing against Milwaukee. Obviously, Milwaukee during the course of the season was 4th overall defensively against the point. But Rozier has been able to put 30 points or better in pretty much all the games. He had 44 in game 1, 25, 33, 31, 33. He's getting sufficient minutes. Like I always say, you got to get those minutes. And as long as his usage rate is pretty good at 21 or 22% or better, you're okay. 5 of 17, missed a lot of shots. Took a lot of shots. Took 29 shots in the last game. 12 from the three-point range and 17 from the floor. And he only hit 9. 5 of 17 and 4 of 12. So he really struggled percentage-wise in the last game. He still put up 33 fantasy points. But if he buries, 45, 50% of those shots, I mean, you're talking about him putting up 50 plus here. So definitely a lot of upside with Rozier. He's capable of putting up 40 or more. And this is a game that more than likely that can happen. So I like him here. I think he's definitely a good play. My favorite play though is Raja Rondo. Ian Clark is here as a low cost play here. They're only asking $2,500 for Ian Clark. He does get his minutes. The only problem is the last game he only had 11 minutes. Prior to that, 27, 17, 24, and 28. I do expect him to play a little bit more minutes than 11 minutes. This game, for whatever reason, he was not involved much in the game. Obviously, they were doing well. What it really comes down to is the game was fairly close throughout. So he basically sat and came in just a few minutes just to give Mr. Raja Rondo a little bit of a break. But if this game gets a little carried away or anything, Ian Clark will get a little bit more action. And if the game stays relatively close, he may also still get some minutes. I don't know if he's going to get more than 20 minutes, but I can see him getting about 20. And at 2,500, that is definitely a complete bargain for a playoff, value play. So if you wanted to get a couple of studs in there, if you wanted to go with maybe Bledsoe, Rondo, or Rondo Rozier, you can do that. But at the same time, you could go Ian Clark with a Bledsoe or Rondo, and then you could just pay for more of a stud in one of the other positions. So that's what I'm looking at there. I think the best play here, Raja Rondo, but definitely Bledsoe, Rozier, and a value play and Ian Clark are all in play today, guys. Entirely up to you. Shooting guard, we'll go right to it. Okay, we got Holiday, Thompson, Middleton, Brown, Smart, and Brogdon. Those are the only guys I'm thinking about, the only guys I'm looking at. Drew Holiday has been my favorite shooting guard throughout the whole entire season. Anybody who's listened to any of my videos during the course of the season, when I started the YouTube channel, I always praised Drew Holiday. He's only let me down one time, I think, all year long. Even when I called him as a stud 5 when I started the YouTube channel, he let me down once. He is pretty consistent. He is definitely a good cash play and a good GPP play because he has a lot of upside. As you can see, he put 49 fantasy points, 37, 52, 38, 34. At that price, you need about 40, about 41, 42, and he has 49 here, 37, 50. So he's more than capable of putting up that. He's definitely will give you value there. He's getting the minutes. He's been phenomenal during the playoffs. He's been actually pretty darn good all year for New Orleans. 41, 32, 38, 39, 34 minutes over the last 4 or 5 games. Look at the shots, 23, 14, 24, 20, 15. And then, of course, the shots have been pretty close to 50% throughout. He's been pretty much lights out. He has been fantastic. If I go back to him, New Orleans Pelicans, let me look here, his percentages, field goal percentage. Yeah, he's definitely one of the top guys. We have Davis at 57%. And we have Rondo at 48%, Marichik at 56%, and Holiday at 56%. If those 4 guys continue to shoot at that clip, at almost 55, 56% on average of each, they will be Golden State. I mean, I'm going to be honest with you. I know it's not going to, it'll be a miracle for them to continue at that pace, but if they're going to shoot 50% or better from the floor, those 4 gentlemen, for the Pelicans will give Golden State a very, very tough series, and they can actually probably even pull it out. Because Golden State, looking at Golden State, just to do comparisons, only Thompson and Durant have been shooting 48% or better. Durant is shooting 48% from the floor right now during the playoffs, and Klay Thompson 52%. And other than that, that's it. Draymond Green is at 32%, and he's the only other major star on that team. So I mean, where you're looking at New Orleans, man, that stud 4 right there are really, really, really nice and really intriguing to play. You got Rondo, Davis, Marichik, and Holiday. Man, that lineup right there, those 4 guys already really right away, the way they're playing right now, they look really damn good. That looks like really a nice core 4 in your plays, in your lineups during the course of this series. I know I'll probably use a dumb 4 if I can, any way I can, but definitely to consider. Holiday is definitely my favorite play at shooting guard here. Klay Thompson, definitely a play for me too. New Orleans during the season 17th, they do struggle against the shooting guards because Mr. Drew Holiday, even though he's fairly good, defending the 2, he definitely thinks a little bit more offensively at times, and that puts him vulnerable to the offensive player with the opponent that he has in front of him. So 37 for Klay in his last game, 41 minutes. He's playing massive minutes, 35, 39, 38, 42, and 41. Usage rate has been great. He's definitely taking a lot of shots. He had a really poor game 2 games ago, 4 of 16, but he shot 11 of 22, pretty much 50% in the last game. and he was lights out. If he could play like that at that price, 64, I mean, he is a steal. You only got to get about 33 from him, you know, to make value. I mean, I think he is definitely a very good play today. They got him projected to put 35, and I think he'll get that. As long as he's shooting at 45% or better, like the way he has been in the last 2 out of the last 3 playoff games, he'll be quite all right. Chris Middleton, he's in play. Obviously, he's a good star player for the Milwaukee Bucks. They're going to need him today. He has not performed well in the last 2 games. His shooting, 7 of 8 in the last game, was good. For whatever reason, he did not take a whole lot of shots, and that's obvious because Giannis took over the game, and and that was the bottom line, and that could also happen today. But I expect Middleton to actually get a lot more shots out today. He's more of a guy that will get 14 or better, as you can see here, 14, 17, 14, 21. I like him. I like Middleton today at 7,800, though. I think Klay Thompson is a better deal. I think he has the better matchup, and I think Drew Holiday, just simply because of the way he's been shooting lights out, I think he's a good play as well. So definitely consider those guys. Jaylen Brown in play, not my favorite play as well. 21 and 33 in his last 2 games. Didn't need value in the last 2 games, but he's playing good minutes, and that's what you're looking for. Massive minutes, 40 minutes and 38, 6 of 15 and 5 of 13 from the floor. All right, pretty balanced out throughout. Assists, rebounds. He's not a big turnover guy, which is good. Definitely is defensively. He's very good. Blocks, as you can see here. He gets some steals. He does a little bit of everything. So Jaylen Brown is in play at 6,600. He's about 30. You need about 33, 34 from him. And definitely very much attainable, and he definitely has a little bit of upside because he's capable of putting up about 40 or 45 on you. They're gonna need him. They're gonna need him to shoot well today. For them to pull this one out against Milwaukee, but I would say he's in play. If you want to pay for him, he's definitely a good play. I think a better play would be to go cheaper and go to Malcolm Brogdon. Mr. Brogdon, 26 in his last game, played 27 minutes. I think because of the way he played in the last game, he will see some time today as well. And as long as he shoots well, 5 of 7 there, and as you can see, he took 1 3-pointer. He hit that one. He got to the foul line. He got hit 5 out of 7 there. He definitely gets the rebounds. He assisted the ball. He's not a big foul trouble guy, so that helps as well. But at 4,300, I think that's a good price for Malcolm. Again, my best play here, obviously, to me, I'm definitely all over Holiday, and I definitely like Thompson as my number 2 guy, a shooting guard. If you can get both of those guys in your lineup, that'll be great. But if not, if you want to go cheaper there at shooting guard, the best value play obviously would be Mr. Smart or Mr. Brogdon. And I think, again, the best play is Mr. Holiday. At small forward, I'm looking at Durant and Giannis as the top 2 dogs here for certain. Like Tatum, I also have here Etuan Moore as a low cost play, as well as Iguodala. I kind of like these 2 guys here at this value, 44 and 42. So you definitely have room to take these 2 guys, maybe pass on Durant and Giannis, and be able to pay up for maybe Draymond Green or Maričić at power forward, or maybe even getting Anthony Davis at center. Entirely up to you, but definitely Durant and Giannis are definitely in play. I kind of like Durant a little bit better in this game because he has done well against New Orleans, as you can see during the season. 56. He had a little dud game here at 36, but he had 53 and 55. I know I don't want to try to go back to what has happened during the course of the season. As I mentioned before, we really want to focus on how he's playing now. He hasn't hit value in 4 out of the 5 playoff games, so he's definitely been off a little bit, but he's pretty much there. He's averaging about 46 plus, 43, 44. Yeah, I would say 44 plus in this in the previous 5 games or 6 games. So he's in play, I think, because he's done so well against New Orleans, and New Orleans is kind of like a fast-paced team. They really are an offensive-minded team, just like Golden State is pretty much. I see these games being pretty much in the 110 or better for each team every single game. Both of these teams don't play, really good half-court defense. So we will see, because that may change. You never know what the tweaking the coaching staff may do, but Kevin Durant is definitely the best play here for me today, in my opinion. and I would say definitely you should consider Giannis. Giannis 59-51 in the last 2 games. The minutes have been crazy, 41 and 41. As you can see, usage rate in the last game. That's why Middleton didn't have big numbers. He took 23 shots, hit 13 and 23. Did get to the foul line a little bit. You definitely would like to see him get on the foul line a little bit more. But he was massive, on the boards. 13 total, 14 total rebounds. I mean, he had just had a monster game, and Giannis is going to need to do that again today. And if he does that today, and Middleton can get just a little bit more touches and be able to get a couple more shots off, I can see Milwaukee pulling this out, even though they are playing in Boston. So I would not be surprised, and don't be surprised as well, you guys out there as well. So Giannis is definitely in play. They're projecting him to get almost 50, and at 11, you need 55. It's a little hefty, the price, but I like Durant's price better at 10. And getting 52. As you can see, they're projecting him to have 52, so the price alone is just a better deal going with Durant, especially that he's had great success against New Orleans, and he's going to be in a game where it's going to be more of a fast-paced game and more offensive-minded game. So there's a possibility that he may get even more than 52 fantasy points. So Durant is definitely the favorite play here, but Giannis is good as well. And definitely like these value plays here. Etuan Moore, 27 in his last game, 35 minutes, 5 of 10 and 1 of 3 from the 3-point range. I mean, he is a definite, definitely good play here for someone. If you want to save a little bit, you can go with Durant and Moore, or Durant with Iguodala, and pair up those two, small forwards from Golden State, which I'd be honest with you, I'd kind of use a little bit of Iguodala as well. Iguodala is what I like about Iguodala is that he's very much involved in the game. In the last series, and he's on the court. 31, 26, 27, 27. Like I said before, you get some minutes. You take a couple of shots, you may get more points, and that in turn will give us more fantasy points. Numbers have been not that great. He's getting minutes, but he obviously is 3 of 8 in the last game. Took 3 shots in the game prior to that, didn't hit any. But what's good about Iguodala is that he does a couple of the other things, like, as you can see, he gets some steals, and he's willing to rebound, and he's willing to assist the ball and pass the ball to the open man. So he does all the other little things when he's not shooting or he's not getting the ball to be able to create offense for himself. He's actually looking to help others on the court. So, but at 4,200, I mean, he could smash 20 plus easy. So I don't see the reason why he would not be a great play for anybody here, especially if you can just pair him up with Durant or pair him up with Giannis. So that's what I'm looking at there at small forward. I really believe that those are good plays there. At power forward, you got Draymond Green, you got Mr. Marichek, Parker, and Morris. Those are the only 4 guys I am looking at the 4 spot. My favorite play is Marichek. Marichek has been just like lights out. Clicking on here, look at this, all these greens. I mean, in the last 8 or 9 games, pretty much dating back to the last few games of the season, he has been finding his own here in New Orleans. But there was a stretch there where he was, I mean, if I go back here, you'll see he was just pitiful, and his price was really low. Look at this price, 43, 47. He was 43 back on April the 4th, 4 weeks ago. And he had those horrible moments where he was not even, it looked like he just couldn't even buy a bucket. And look where he's at now, that he is valued at $7,900 in the playoffs. He's actually $200 cheaper today than he was in the last game. And, he dipped a little bit because of his 38 fantasy point performance, but he has been shooting so well. Like I mentioned before, he's shooting 56% from the floor. And let's see, 3-point range. He's been the top guy on the team hitting 3-pointers. He's hit 12 3-pointers during that series, that 4-game series against Portland. So at a 41% rate. So he right now is definitely a good play in this game, especially this fast-paced game against Golden State. I love Mr. Marichuk. I think he's the best play here for me, in my opinion. We go down here to Jabari Parker. He's been playing very, very well, steady, 34, 40, 30, 28 over the last 4 games, 26, 32, 25, and 30. Really pretty steady with the minutes. He's getting 26 minutes plus. He's getting sufficient shots, 10, 15, 10, and 12. Pretty consistent there, 7 of 15, 5 of 10, 7 of 12, 4 of 10. Could do a little bit better percentage-wise if he does that. But what I like about Parker is, you see here, he only took 10 shots in the last game, but look at this. He has been rebounding. So when he's not getting enough shots, or he's not getting those shots to come down, he's doing all the other dirty stuff, all the other things to help the team win games, and that's go out there and rebound, throw your body around and make plays. And that's what he's been doing. At 5,400, you need 26, 27 from him today. He's been averaging over 28 over the last 2 games. Actually, in the whole last 4 games, he's been hitting 28 plus. So yeah, he should be able to hit 30 or better, and he's capable, and he has the upside to go up to as high as 40, 45 if he gets those sufficient minutes. And I'm saying, as long as he gets 25 minutes or better, I think 30 plus is easy for Mr. Jabari Parker. At 5,400, he is a nice play here with Mr. Marichik. If you're thinking about 2 power forwards, I would like to see Marichik. And if you could squeeze in Draymond Green, fantastic. They're both in the best position, and Draymond Green and Marichik. Look at the defenses. Marcus Morris, I'm not too much in play of Marcus, but because of this game being such a tight game and knowing that he's going to be on the floor, 26, 26, 20, he's been steady with the minutes, 30, 25, 26, 26, 26. The usage rate has been great. He's getting sufficient shots. He loves that mid-range shot. He could hit the 3, which he has been a little ineffective with the 3, but he's a 3-point shooter as well. You know, he's getting to the foul line a little bit. He's doing a little bit of everything. I do like to see him do a little bit more rebounding. I see him sometimes too much offensive minded. But I mean, if in this game, because it's such a tight knit game, I see him being very much involved. 5,200, they're projecting to put about 21 up. He needs 20. He needs 26 to meet value. I think he can get there. I like Parker better. He's just playing a little bit better right now, and he's also, his shooting rate and everything is just slightly better. I mean, field goal percentage. Let's go back to Mr. Parker here. Yeah, Mr. Parker is at 44% shooting from the floor. He's been doing very well. Boston's top guys have been Hartford and Brown. So I really like Parker here, and Marichik are my favorite plays. At center, Anthony Davis and Al Horford. There's only 2 guys you can even think of. I mean, I'm not even thinking of Thon Maker, even though, again, Thon Maker will probably be in one of my lineups if I can get a couple of nice studs in there and I can fit him in. I will be willing to take a risk on him on a GPP. I mean, he may just turn around and give us, 15, 20, which would be fantastic, and it opens up value somewhere else. But I think most of my lineups are going to pay up with Al Horford or Anthony Davis, and my favorite obviously is Anthony Davis. I mean, Golden State is 17th in defending against centers. They really have had trouble with centers throughout the year, and Mr. Davis, 68 in the last game he played against Portland. He had a 59. A little dud game, he had 46, which is still respectable. 68. He has met value in 3 out of the last 4 games against Portland. The minutes were just fantastic, 39, 36, 40, and 40. And look at the usage rate. He is definitely the top dog, 37, 26 here, 28.5 here, almost 40, 38 here, and 34 here. 15 of 24, 11 of 18, 9 of 18, 14 of 26, 8 of 18. I mean, shooting the ball, I mean, he took a ton of shots in the last game. He really wanted to end Portland, and he basically did do that. 15, he got to the foul line 17 times and hit 15 of 17. 11 rebounds. I mean, he just did it all. I mean, when he's on the floor, he's a blocker. He steals. He can make steals. Anthony Davis, is definitely the top play here at center. But Al Horford is definitely in play. If you don't want to pay up for Anthony, pay up for Al Horford. He's pretty kind of consistent too. He had a little dud game here in 19, but he's been 33, 43, 32. He's good for 30, 30 to 35. Definitely decent cash play, Horford. Not so much a GPP because he doesn't have massive games, but he's pretty consistent. Minutes 33, 38, 37 in the last 3 games. Usage rate is a little subpar in between the last game and the 4th game of the series. Game 5, he was more involved, taking more shots, and obviously being one of the focal points for offense. 7 of 15, 2 of 5. He had 14 rebounds. That's one thing you're going to definitely get from Al Horford. He's definitely a decent rebounder, and he's also definitely a good 3-point shooter. When he's on, he definitely hits the 3-pointer well. So those are the guys I'm looking at, guys. I think Anthony Davis is the best play here, and if you're going to want to get value here, then as you can see, you can always take Mr. JaVale McGee or Thon Maker. If I'm going to choose anybody down here, I would definitely go with Thon Maker at 3,600. If he starts again, especially if there's no Henson, I believe Henson is definitely not going to play. Even if he plays, he's not going to even be at 100%. I mean, he's missed most of this series, so I don't see. I personally don't even see the reason why they should even put him into play. I mean, just try to get through this series and they win, and he is healthy. They'll buy himself another day or two to rest, and then maybe he could come and start round 2. But we'll see what happens. But I think Thon Maker will be in the lineup. Will start if he can get a little bit involved early, get a couple of shots off, get a couple more putbacks and rebounds, get some shots up close under the boards. He could be on the floor a little bit more, and we know that he is capable of blocking shots. So that's the only problem with him is just he gets a little bit into foul trouble. So I mean, if he can stay off getting into fouls, he'll be a decent play at 3,600. I think that's the best value play there at center. So basically, guys, that's what we have here. We got point guard. Definitely my best play is Rajon Rondo, but Bledsoe, Rozier, and even Ian Clark, guys that I'm considering. Let me go back to my pool. Shooting guard, definitely love Holiday, and I definitely love Klay Thompson as number 2. Middleton and Brown are definitely in play, and I would value play for me. My top choice would be Brogdon. Small forward, looking at Durant as my best play. I definitely like Giannis here as well. It's definitely just a little too pricey for me. I'd rather pay a little less to get Durant, who has a better upside here against a team that you can put up more points on. Jason Tatum is in play, Etuan Moore, and Iguodala. I like Iguodala and Moore down here as value plays at 42 and 4,400 respectively. At power forward, Draymond Green is in play, but I do love Merrichick better, and I definitely like Jabari Parker here as a lower mid-tier play. And at center, definitely my favorite play is Anthony Davis with Al Horford obviously in play as well. Those guys would be in different lineups for me. Me playing GPPs, I'm going to have a number of different little lineups to try to nail down this prize here tonight. So but that's the same way you should look at it, guys. And just let me go back here to the Fanduel. Basically, I like to give you guys a couple of stacking plays too. I mean, obviously with New Orleans, thinking let's go to the Milwaukee and Boston game. With Milwaukee, you definitely, if you're considering any stackings there, the two that work the best together is Middleton with Giannis on the floor. And if you're not going to go with Middleton and Giannis, then you can definitely pair up Giannis with Bledsoe. So those are two guys. I don't really have a triple play there, at least for me. I will not go with a third player there, but I definitely like Giannis with Bledsoe or with Giannis with Middleton. On the other end of the spectrum, Boston, you could definitely have Rozier with Hartford. They work well together, or Brown with Tatum, or you can even triple up with Rozier, Brown, and Tatum, or with Rozier, Tatum, and Hartford. I think any of those triple plays there or double stacks would definitely work. New Orleans, stack plays here, definitely like Rondo with Drew Holiday, or Holiday with Anthony Davis, or you can actually do the triple play, which I really love, Rondo, Holiday, and Anthony Davis. You can squeeze those three guys in there, and build a nice lineup around those guys and get value somewhere else. You're going to definitely be okay. Golden State, definitely the best plays are Thompson with Durant. They're the best that have been shooting from the floor right now, so I would definitely choose those two guys together. Or if not, you definitely would like to go with Durant and Draymond Green. So I'm not thinking you could go with a triple play there, and it should work. Durant Green with Thompson, but I prefer just a double stack there. I prefer Durant with Green or Durant with Thompson. So probably have some lineups with Durant and Thompson, and then maybe make one or two lineups with Durant and Green in it. All right, guys. So those are some of the stack plays. I definitely also recommend stacking, from one game. So if you're thinking New Orleans, Golden State, you could go with something. If you can get in there Durant with, let's say, Thompson from Golden State, and then New Orleans get Rondo, Holiday, and Anthony Davis, and somehow you can build around that with value somewhere else from the Milwaukee-Boston game, that will work. I think it's going to be tough to do, honestly, with New Orleans and Golden State, because a lot of players, their prices are very high. But you could probably get four. I would say you could probably do a Rondo with Holiday or a Rondo with Anthony Davis, and then try to grab Durant with Thompson, who's cheaper than going with Green, and then squeeze in the remaining 4 to 5 players from the Milwaukee-Boston game. And then the same thing with Milwaukee-Boston. You can stack up 5 to 6 players out of this game alone, 3 from Milwaukee and 3 from Boston, or 4 from Boston, 2 from Milwaukee, whatever way. But I'm just trying to give you a couple ideas, a couple tips on some of the things you should be looking for. It's just a small slate, 2 games. My recommendation, most importantly out of anything, what I do when I have a small slate like this, is focus on maybe getting a core 5 or 6, and then just building multiple lineups with a couple of role players and value plays in between that 5, 6, or maybe as much as 7 players that are my core. So I mean, so definitely look at it that way. I'm sure some of you guys know right off the bat that that's something you are doing. But just in case you're fairly new to DFS or not really been doing too well as of late with your picks, that's what I would recommend. So again, stacking is very important in every one of the sports, even in the MLB as well as even in the NFL. So but that's what I recommend you guys should do today. So either stack up 2 players, or stack up 6, 7 core players, or stack up a few players from each team in one game. So you can stack from one game, you can stack just individual team players, or you can go with a core 5 or 6 and then align them with the remaining 3 players or 2 players from value. So and that's basically it, guys. That is basically it, man. I'm gonna get my lineups going here together. Right now, I would say if you needed to get a quick 5, I would say, man, definitely try to get AD in there, just to help you guys out. I would definitely think AD. Find a way to get Rondo in there as number 2. Definitely try to get, I won't say you can't do AD and Durant. If you can, try to do that. But I would say Rondo, Holiday, and Davis, or maybe even Marichuk, and not take Davis, and then throw in there maybe number 4, maybe Thompson, and I would say number 5, either Parker or Marichuk, depending on the circumstances. So yeah, to give you a quick 5 or 6 right there. Out of the ones I'm picking here, it'll be tough. You could definitely even take Rondo, try to take Drew, try to take Durant, Marichuk, and Davis. I don't think you're going to get much value anywhere else, so that's going to be tough to do. But you could probably take 3 of those guys and then pop in another 2 or 3, and you got your core. And then from there, you just align the others, and that's basically it. So I mean, that's what I got for you guys today. I'm thinking if there's anything else that I can help you guys out with, but I think that's pretty much it. Golden State, I didn't go over Golden State. Obviously, his implied total is 116.8. The Pelicans 107.8, so they're favored by nearly almost 10 points, like 9 points. It's definitely going to be a shootout. These teams are not that great defensively. They're definitely good offensive teams, especially if they're shooting well from the floor. But there are some advantages for New Orleans because they've been playing really, really well. Their top 4 guys, like I mentioned earlier, are shooting over 50% from the floor thus far. And that was against Portland, who I think was a better defensive team than Golden State. So we'll see what happens here because, I mean, if they can keep up with Golden State, this would be a very interesting series. So that's pretty much it, guys, man. Good luck tonight. I'll be back tomorrow to see what we have for Sunday. I haven't even looked at the schedule just yet, but I know there's a game or so tomorrow, maybe 2 games. But that's basically it, man. Good luck tonight. God bless, and your boy Manny is out.